Hello, everyone. This is the Crimson Cure, welcoming you to the Crimson Tower, a place where we keep a feminine foot on the neck of the gynocracy, feminism, and black male misandry. So go ahead, pull up a chair, stay a while, and listen.
Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am, of course, your host, the Crimson Cure. And as usual, we're just going to jump right into the topic. So today's topic is going to be Kwame Brown and issues of leadership. And we're going to take this from a couple of different angles. So I need you to hold on to your seats, and we're really going to actually get into it today. So what I really wanted to talk about was, of course, lately over the past couple of weeks, Kwame Brown has really blown up on YouTube and social media. He's the talk of the town, basically because he is coming out and speaking out and taking up for himself, basically, against these like sportscasters or whatever, the black ones mainly, like Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Stephen A. Smith, and even Charlemagne, who's not a sportscaster, but who actually has some personal attacks going towards Kwame. And so he's been sort of the talk of the town, especially in the black community. And here on YouTube, he has gained a tremendous amount of subscribers and supporters over the past couple of weeks because he's been basically going in. And he's been going in like he calls it his mama's cooking. So, and he's cooking. He's over there and he's saying what he needs to say. Now that he has an even bigger platform to say what he has to say, he's really getting it off of his chest, and he's doing it in a really unapologetic way. It's really just him, and he's really just speaking his mind, and he's speaking it truthfully, and he's not sugarcoating anything that he's saying it. He's saying names. He's not being vague. He's not being passive aggressive about it. He's saying exactly what he wants to say to whom he wants to say it. And so because of that, he's gained a lot of support. And there's a lot of cheerleading going on. And honestly, I'm cheerleading him as well from the sidelines, just because I like to see when black men are able to have their voices and able to speak up for themselves, especially against a machine that has really maligned them. And Kwame Brown has been maligned. He has been. Because the name of his channel is Kwame Brown, A Bus Life. And the reason why he named it A Bus Life is because that has been his label. He was the number one draft pick in the NBA about 20 years ago, right out of high school. And from that point on, there are a lot of expectations. The expectation when you are a number one draft pick, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, or whatever of the major sports, when you're the number one draft pick overall, you have a tremendous amount of expectation placed on you. And the expectation placed on you, especially basketball, is that you are going to be the one. You're the chosen one. You're the one that's going to lead your team to victory. You're going to turn it around, because usually a team that gets the number one draft pick is a crappy team. This is a team that does not have a winning record, because the championship teams and the better teams are actually lower in the draft. And that's in order to create parity in the league. So he was the number one draft pick of his draft class. And it was right out of high school. And like I said, whether you're out of high school or you went through college sports first, Doesn't matter if you're the number one draft pick, then there is a certain set of expectations for you. And especially in basketball, and I'm saying that because in basketball, it's totally feasible that one or two players on your team can actually turn your entire season around. And you can go into a championship with that. We've seen it done over and over. Usually it takes more than one player, one star player, though, because there are a lot of teams that have one star player, but not a good supporting cast or not good coaching. And that team wastes that talent and still doesn't win. But sometimes you get a magical thing. Like, of course, what happened with the 90s Bulls when they first got Michael Jordan, he was a star. However, the Bulls still wasn't really winning because Michael was by himself. He didn't have a good supporting cast. They hadn't drafted them or acquired those players. However, when the Bulls acquired Scottie Pippen and began to put certain players in certain key positions, the Bulls started turning around. Instead of being a joke of the NBA, they started being taken seriously in the NBA. And that is as opposed to the NFL when you need more than one player just because the roster is bigger and the team is, both of them are team sports, but they're played differently. So there are too many different positions and parts in the NFL. So one player, unless you have a team set up where you only need a quarterback now, usually one player can't turn your whole season around, not feasibly. But in the NBA, it's a different story. You only got 5 men on the court at one time, right? Versus 12 men on the field for the NFL and a 53-man roster. NBA teams usually have about a 12-man roster with a couple of reserves. But anyway, I'm not going to get into the particulars of that. The reason why I'm bringing that part up is to illustrate how in the NBA, one player can be even partially reasonably expected to lead their team to the promised land, okay, which is an NBA championship, or at least the promise of it, okay, and say, okay, well, last season we didn't play very well. We lost a lot of games. This season we won 50% more games, and it was due to the play of our number one draft pick. So even though Kwame has skills, obviously, because you don't get chosen to go into the NBA directly from high school unless you're a phenomenon. The last one that I actually remember that went on to become a legend was Kobe Bryant. So they expected him to lead them to championships. And when that did not happen, and the reason why they expect those sorts of things is because of a couple of reasons. They want to be able to make that money back off of you. You need to be a draw. You not only need to be able to go on the court and do your job, you need to be media friendly. You need to be a fan favorite. You need to have the type of personality that they can market. You need to be the type of person or the type of player that you can get endorsements in commercials. And, they can really sell the merchandise with your likeness or your name. They really want to be able to sell your jersey or your shoes, and things of that nature. So when you get in the NBA and there's a lot of expectation for you, like there is when you're drafted as a first round draft pick, they want to get their hands in that pie. And the real reason why they determined that Kwame Brown was a bust wasn't so much about his play, because when you come right out of high school, there is an adjustment. I don't care how good of a player you are. There is an adjustment of speed. There's an adjustment of skill. There's an adjustment of strength, okay, that needs to be accounted for. Because high school basketball, even though it is the same in principle as the NBA, it's not the same game. So if I'm used to playing boys that are my age and my size and strength comparably, and I get to the NBA, these are grown men. Okay. And many of them are not new. I'm a rookie. So I have to catch up. I have to catch up to different rules of the game. Because professional NBA rules are different from NCAA rules, which are different from high school rules. So I have to do that. I have to, there's an adjustment period, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes a new player, even when they're supremely talented, will struggle with that adjustment period. But more than that, Kwame's personality, and I'm not saying he has a bad personality, because when you look at him now and you look at his content now, he actually seemed like a pretty cool person. I mean, he's getting at these other dudes' necks, and I'm sure they're not pleased with it, but he seems like a laid back, kind of jovial kind of person, but not a goofy kind of person. He seems like he's serious. He's about his business, and he's about living his life. He has a value system. He and he lives his life according to that value system. And it is what it is. You either like him or you don't like him, and it's very matter of fact. It's very down to earth. It's very not commercial. And that's what I mean by his personality didn't lend itself to the level of marketability that they would have wanted a first round draft pick to have. Okay. They would have wanted him to have a certain look. They would have wanted him to speak a certain way. They would have wanted him to, they would have been trying to groom him for the media and, things of that nature. We know how it goes. Even if you've never been in that situation, you should have seen enough examples of it to kind of have an idea about how this goes, right? And even if you have kind of a prickly personality, which again, I'm not saying that that's the case with Kwame, but even if you're not particularly just this social butterfly or you want to be in the cameras, sometimes you can make it work by just being a superstar and other people wanting to get to know you. Like, for example, Michael Jordan didn't have a winning personality. Michael Jordan was not somebody that people was just like enamored of his personality. People were enamored of his work. People were enamored of him getting out there and dropping 55 points just because. Him going out there dropping 63 points just because. Him going out there and just driving to the cup and dunking just because. And people was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? It was so dynamic that it was like, well, he is a draw. I want to see him do it in person. You know what I'm saying? It was the reason we called him Air Jordan. When you take off from the free throw line in a dunk, that's Air Jordan. You see what I'm saying? And that became marketable. It became marketable because when you listen to Michael Jordan's interviews, he's not this super bubbly or super magnetic type of personality. He's actually kind of not shrouded in mystery, but you want to pick his brain a little bit because you want to understand how does he do what he do. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to have the type of personality, let's say, like Shaquille O'Neal has. Shaquille O'Neal is a funny, fun lover. He do goofy stuff. He dance. He do, you know what I'm saying? And that made him marketable. Not only his skill on the court as a center, but he was marketable because he was being himself. But being himself was marketable because it was relatable. It was likable. And people was like, oh man, he's a big dude, but he's not this big intimidating dude necessarily. When he's not on the court, he's ready to laugh and joke and, and stuff like that. So it became relatable. Again, in his own way, he became marketable. Okay. So I'm getting to a point here. I'm getting to a particular thing here because I want to drive home in this particular instance why they considered him a bust. When the NBA or when these organizations, the sports organizations or whatever, can't make money off of you, can't use you the way they want to use you, they'll start maligning you. They'll start downplaying what you are doing right and then highlight the things that you're doing wrong. So if Kwame went out and actually played a decent game, they wouldn't say, well, yeah, he played a decent game. They would have a lot of criticism, a lot of heavy criticism. about what he didn't do right and what he could have done and how he didn't do it, and all of these sorts of things. And who was leading the charge really kind of was Stephen A. Smith, which is why he goes at his neck the way that he does. But the thing about this is he's determined as a bust because of that reason. Because if you play well enough of a game for NBA scouts to take notice of you to the point where they're like, you need to be in the draft, teams are ready to acquire you and give you a contract, okay, right out of high school, then he has the qualities that you're looking for in terms of a player. He has those qualities. And what one of those qualities is a leader. You have to have some leadership quality as well as the actual skill to make them say, you'll be a good fit on my team. Okay, we want you on the team. So he couldn't have been all bad, because if he couldn't play, then why would you draft him out of high school? Not out of high school, because you would want him to go into college to get those extra years of experience playing ball at a higher level than high school. You would want him to do that. Because for as dynamic as Michael Jordan was, they didn't get him out of high school. He came out of North Carolina. Okay? And he's considered by many to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. So he didn't come straight out of high school. So it's an achievement in and of itself to even be considered in that way, to play ball good enough to grab the attention, not of a college, but of the NBA, which is the ultimate goal. If you're serious about basketball and you're serious about playing it, the NBA is the ultimate goal to get to. That's an achievement. To be drafted by a team, whether you're first pick or not, is an achievement, because there are only like 32 spots. And there are only not 32 spots. There are only 2 rounds is what I'm trying to say. So it's not like the NFL draft, like 7 rounds. So many people are getting drafted at different positions. For the NBA, the draft is not nearly like that. It's like 2 rounds, I believe. So if you get into them 2 rounds, no matter what team pick you, you have achieved something that hundreds or thousands of other basketball players did not. Okay. And so for him to kind of be able to skip over the collegiate players that came out that year and be like, hey, I'm here from high school, that is a really, really, really auspicious type of achievement. So he could not have been just this also ran player that didn't mean much, because you wouldn't have acquired him in that way if he was. Okay. So he's not a bust because he didn't know how to play basketball. He's a bust to them because it's like, you're a bust financially to me. And in terms of endorsements and marketing. And we gave you a contract and you didn't return on that investment. That's what they mean by bust, right? So now we can move on to why the men are now paying attention to Kwame Brown. The men are paying attention to Kwame Brown, especially in the Black Manosphere. Okay, let's just narrow it down. The men in the Black Manosphere are paying attention to Kwame Brown for a couple of reasons. One of the big reasons, and let's just keep everything 100. Somebody's not gonna like it, but I'm just gonna say it. It's a lot of clout chasing and a lot of eggplant favoritisms going on, and you know what I'm saying. Okay, it's a lot of clout chasing. It's a lot of people that's in the manosphere that has gone over to this man's channel begging and twerking for attention in this man's chat room, not realizing that the chat goes so fast because there's so many people in it that he isn't paying attention to the chat. He can't. And this type of attention is new to him in terms of YouTube. Okay, he's not new to having attention. but he's new to this kind of YouTube world kind of attention, because he doesn't even bother to do things like slow the chat down so that it can be read, so that all of them super chats that people are clout chasing about can actually be acknowledged. He's not acknowledging it because he's not on YouTube for that. He's speaking the way he's speaking because this is something that he's doing for him. He's speaking up for himself. He has been maligned publicly and had his play heavily and negatively critiqued, and him critiqued as a person, not even just as a player. Like, he's been attacked as a person, like, you are a bust, you're no good, you don't have value, right, as a person. And what he's saying is, it doesn't matter if you thought I was a bust. It doesn't matter if I didn't play to the expectation that you thought I should have, or done what you thought I should have, or, led a team to championships like you thought I should have. I'm not valueless. I'm not worthless. I have a value system. I am a masculine man. I'm a man. And the money that I acquired when I was in the league, I did well for myself. And he does seem to have done well for himself. He owns his home. He owns some land. He's always talking about it. So these are the things that are valuable to him, right? So he is actually telling truth to power, which is one reason, which is the other reason, aside from clout chasing, it's the other reason why a lot of men are paying attention, because Kwame is viewed as the underdog. Kwame is viewed, this is almost a David and Goliath. This is almost the wet dream of a lot of B1 people, that one individual can fight an institution. Okay? That's sort of the wet dream of it, because that's kind of culturally blacks. That's how we think of things. We think that it needs to only be one individual or just a couple of individuals that are raging against the machine and taking it down in a David and Goliath sort of way. And rather than join in on the fight, we'd rather cheer on David rather than become David, an army with David, so that it's not one person against the institution. It's many that's going to take it down, right? So a lot of guys now are over there because he's the underdog, and culturally we root for that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? We have kind of an inferiority complex, okay? And the men and the women suffer from that. So they identify with somebody that they consider to be an underdog, consider to be inferior, or consider to be, they consider them to be struggling or pulling it out of the mud, or, you know what I'm saying, or what have you. And I'm saying that because it's almost fair weather. It's almost fair weather because Kwame Brown, that channel has been active since 2013. Now, I'm not saying he has done content since 2013, because when I looked at his page, his content was probably about two years old, maybe 3, his oldest videos. And they only have about 9,000 views, 2,000 views, 3,000 views, things like that. And he had things up there. He was still talking about his life. This is the same man, right? He wasn't talking about nothing no different, really. He was talking about his life. He was talking about the things that, were of importance to him, that he wanted to do shows. He had a couple of panels. He had one video that was like entitled about the military and them committing suicide. And he wasn't receiving this type of attention when he was talking about those things that was valuable to him. No one was over there cheering him. Black men in particular didn't start cheering on Kwame until Kwame started going at people that a lot of black people feel are untouchable, or feel like they are, they're unreachable, or that they're a part of a machine that we think is bigger than us, right? So he's going at them in a very unapologetic way. He's saying what he's got to say. He cussing them out. He roasting them. He telling the truth. He's doing all of that. He's cooking them. Okay. That's what and they're over there to try to gain attention off of what he's doing. Okay. Now all of a sudden, content creators in the manosphere want to have all types of interviews with him. The women didn't get on board with Kwame until I think he was going at Jamel Hill, and he like defended Vicky Dillard. So then that's when black women got on board, right? All right. So we got to be honest about why we choose the people that we choose as representatives of ours or de facto leaders. Because what's happening on YouTube, especially when we consider the dynamic between the men in the manosphere, particularly as it regards how they are looking at Kwame Brown, and I'm going to say it right now, the ladies are looking like this is beta. And I'm not even saying that in a bad way, because everybody isn't alpha, right? Because there got to be betas, right? And there got to be more betas than there are alphas. The men are paying attention to Kwame and flocking over there for one other reason that's very important. And because it's beta, it's actually going to be the same reason that women like Kwame. But hang on to your butts for that reason. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because I want to do a little bit of a comparison. Because while they're talking about Kwame was a bust in terms of the NBA, he still seems to be a person that is masculine. He takes his manhood and his masculinity seriously. And that's yet another reason why I believe personally that Kwame was not marketable, because he was too much in his masculinity and not willing to forego that in order to be marketable for them. He wasn't willing to tamp down his masculinity in order to be likable and relatable. And oh yeah, Kwame Brown, how you doing? Hey, and he's like, oh hey, how you? He wasn't willing to dance a jig to get no money from them. It was like, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna play, and it is what it is, right? But I want to put a little bit of a juxtaposition, and this is more so towards the ladies. Let's take a look at Dwayne Wade. Not a bust, but not a leader. Dwayne Wade is one of the more popular and achieved basketball players. He's got a couple of championships. Okay. A lot of accolades Dwayne Wade has gotten. Okay. Played on the team, the other big three they made with the Miami Heat, between him, LeBron, and Chris Bosh. Right. So, he's played in the league for many years, won a lot of games, won some championships and what have you. Very accomplished, very marketable, very relatable. But Dwayne Wade is not a leader. In his personal life, he's a beta. Dwayne Wade is a beta. He's an entire beta male, because he follows the leadership of Gabrielle Union. He actually admitted to that. He admitted that he doesn't believe in leaving his home and that he's on Gabrielle's program, not the other way around. She's not on his program. He's following her system, order, and structure. He's following her leadership. And basically, Dwayne Wade is in a followership relationship. Okay? Dwayne Wade is in a followership. Right? That's what he's in. He follows the lead of Gabrielle Union, and she's proud enough and masculine enough to like that position. Okay. All right. So while Dwayne Wade wasn't a bust, is the reason why he wasn't a bust. Not only did Dwayne Wade have talent, I'm not taking away his talent on the court. Right. But I'm also saying that he was willing to be as beta as he needed to be as marketable as he could be. And the proof is in the pudding of how he's conducting his marriage. He's conducting it from a beta inferior point of view, right? He doesn't have any leadership or SOS, okay? Which is why he needed a LeBron James on his team in order to achieve championship. Because while he could get out on the court and do his thing, who looked to Dwayne Wade for real leadership and system of instruction? Doesn't have one. He's proven in his personal life he doesn't have one. Okay? So the men, because both of them are in the spotlight, both Kwame and Dwayne Wade are in the spotlight. But one is being ridiculed by the men and one is being upheld by the men. And the difference is because Kwame has a value system and system of instruction in his life, right? Dwayne Wade does not. So the men aren't going to choose. If they had to only choose between Kwame Brown and Dwayne Wade on who's going to be the alpha of them, they've chosen Kwame. And by all rights, he's not as successful in his career as Dwayne Wade was. Right? We would consider Dwayne Wade more successful in the NBA. And yeah, he was. He was. Made more money and all of that. Got more accolades, all of that. Right? He achieved the goal of every NBA player is to get at least one championship under their belt. Right? And he was able to accomplish that. Right? But he's not the leader. The men, and we can see it play out, and I'm putting this juxtaposition up there because both of them are in the media right now. Kwame and Dwayne, right? They're both in the media right now. Some women might choose Dwayne, but the men are choosing Kwame as the leader, right? Because betas have to choose an alpha. Okay? I need people to understand that. Betas have to choose an alpha. Women are automatically beta. But then there's a class of beta men. And again, I'm not saying this as a slight. This is just true. All right? It's just true. And so the men overall are choosing Kwame because they're beta and they're choosing a leader. And the reason why they're choosing Kwame as the leader versus a Dwayne Wade is because Kwame seems to actually have masculinity. He's displaying his masculinity. He's displaying system, order, and structure. He's displaying some leadership qualities, at least for himself, of having his own life together. Because there are many who go and don't do so well in the NBA or the NFL. You know, they only had their rookie contract money, or they might have got a contract aside from that. And then once they're out of the league for whatever reason, they don't have any money anymore in the next couple of years. Well, it seems like he wasn't like that. It seems like his mama's cooking did him some good because he managed to say, you know what? I got this money. I acquired this money from playing in the NBA, and I'm not going to be poor again after making millions of dollars. So I'm going to do something productive for myself with this money. And he got land and he got a home. Land that he works. He will show you in a minute. My hands are dirty because I've been out on my tractor and I've been dealing with my land, you know what I'm saying, and all that type of stuff. I'm a man. I'm a man. I'm a high value man. Right? Because high value has more to do with your value system than it does with the money in your pocket. Dwayne Wade has more money than Kwame Brown, but is he a higher value man? No. Why? Because Dwayne Wade doesn't have system, order, and structure. He doesn't have a leadership bone in his body. He's being dominated by a woman half his size. A woman that if he decided to yoke her up would be thoroughly yoked up. Dwayne Wade is not a small man. He's just a docile man. He's a soft cookie cake man. One that no self-respecting feminine woman could ever respect. He has to be with a masculine woman because he exists too much in his feminine energy. And when you have a lot of feminine energy, you don't have a lot of SOS because women don't create systems, orders, and structures. We just follow them. That's all that we do. So the men in this space are looking to Kwame for leadership purposes because they're also looking for a leader and SOS. A lot of men in this space don't have any SOS because the position of a beta male isn't that he's a bad man. It's because he can't create his own system, order, and structure. It's not that he doesn't have masculinity. It's not that he's not a man. It's just that if he's true to himself, he understands I have to go to an alpha to get SOS that I can then implement in my life and for my family and things of that nature. And then I'll be successful and I'll be more than a beta male provider. I'll be able to uphold a system, order, and structure that has been taught to me. And some men find that in alpha men, some men find that in the structure of organized religion and things of that nature. A lot of brothers who was beta found SOS through NOI. A lot of brothers that's beta find SOS through Christianity, or they find it through Orthodox Islam, or they find it through the military, or they find it through dealing with alpha men and watching how they move and say, okay, this is how you have a system, order, and structure. This one will work for me, right? So when we put everything into perspective, we have to just talk about and think about what it means when men are displaying their masculinity. And I'm talking to the ladies, what it means for us to see that. And I don't want us as women, the ladies who are listening to me right now, to say, to use this video as an excuse to charge up every brother. I see all y'all are betas, because that word has gotten a really, really bad rap in this space. And I want to clear it up. I don't want to use the word beta as a whooping stick, because it's not. The beta male lion in a pride is still a male lion. He's still gonna mess you up if you go over there. He's not gonna be docile. He's not gonna not tear your head off. Go over there and mess with them female. Let the alpha male be on patrol, and the only one left over there is the beta male lion. And let's say he's not a sub-adult. Let's say he's kind of gotten into his adulthood. If another lion come over there, he gonna fight. Or if a hyena come over there, he gonna fight. He's not gonna cower down. He's not gonna, try to get the lionesses to do it. He's gonna do it. Right? Because some lion prides are ran as coalitions between male lion brothers. So one lion go on the patrol, the other lion has taken beta position because one has to be the leader. But just because he took beta position does not mean that a hyena or some other lion group gonna get to come over there and mess with that pride. It's not gonna happen. So I don't like to use that word beta as some type of whooping stick. And I'm talking to the ladies. Don't use this as, yeah, see, even the Crimson Kid think y'all is beta, some beta dudes, blah, blah, blah. The other one, the Iron Bane has made that word a very distasteful one in this space. But I don't deal with narratives. I deal with truth. So a beta male is simply the number 2 position after an alpha. And you gotta have that type of hierarchy. And men are accustomed to hierarchy. So I don't really expect the men to be mad about it, because anytime men are in a group, a hierarchy or a pecking order is established. And nothing else illustrates that better than the structure of the military, right? Where you got captains and sergeants and lieutenants and all that. I don't know which one is higher than the other one, so please forgive me. But I know that they're higher than the privates, right? You know what I'm saying? So the privates have to understand, I'm underneath the captain. I'm underneath the sergeant. I'm underneath the lieutenant. I'm underneath them. Does that make me less of a man? No. It makes me have not reached their rank yet. So I have to work to get to that rank. And maybe I will, and maybe I won't. Everybody doesn't move up the ladder like that because everybody doesn't have it in them. Some men are just the soldiers. He's not going to be the tactician. He's not going to be the general. He's not going to be the sergeant. He's not going to, be in charge of the platoon and he's not going to do that. But he's a dang on good soldier though. If you give him an order, it's going to get done. And it's going to get done right. And that makes him valuable. Right? Right, ladies? So that's just to wrap this up. I know this was a little bit of a long one, but hopefully you all got out of it what you needed to get out of it, right? We uphold certain people as leaders for different reasons, and we dismiss other people as not being capable of being a leader for different reasons. And last but not least, I want to wrap this up by saying true alphas are always chosen by men, not women. The real alphas of a group of men are the ones that the men submit and say, I'm going to submit under your leadership. We all are going to put down what we think is SOS and leadership and follow yours. And we're going to learn from you, and we're going to kind of be under you. Men make that decision, and it's not a light decision for them. They make those decisions for very particular reasons, depending on the group, depending on why they're together or what goal they're trying to achieve. And in this particular case with Kwame, the men like him because of that underdog thing and because he, in their eyes, is taking on an institution. He's David to their Goliath. And he's found his voice with them. He's decided, I'm going to say what I need to say to them. And I'm going to do it in an unapologetic way. And they're not going to be able to shut me up. All right. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section about this. What do you think about Kwame Brown? What do you think about the juxtaposition between him and Dwayne Wade and the one having the lack of leadership in SOS and one actually having it? Right? So I'd love for everyone to not only sound off in the comment section, but like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. All right. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.